It means an awful lot. It's weird. It doesn't feel like 6 years has passed since 2019. I think it's amazing that Portrush has this opportunity so soon after the last Open to host again. And yeah, just great to be back. I don't spend a lot of time in these parts anymore, just with travel schedule, living abroad, all that stuff. So to be here, to see a lot of familiar faces, even some of the, every, hole on the course has a different team of marshals from different golf clubs, and then just to see people that, I've met throughout the years out there this morning was really nice. But yeah, it's really nice to be back, and obviously very, very excited for the week.
Okay, well, thank you. We'll start with Dan in the middle there, please.
Rory, you spoke after the Masters about needing to find your next Mount Everest. Your last two starts have been really, really solid. How would you describe how you're feeling coming into this week, coming into how you came into maybe the PGA or the US Open?
Yeah, I'm certainly encouraged by how I've played the last two starts, especially last week in Scotland. It's been, I think the 2 weeks off after the Travellers, just to reset, to get over here, bit of a change of scenery, has been really nice. And yeah, like this is, when I was looking at the calendar for 2025, this was the tournament that was probably, circled even more so than the Masters for different reasons. So it's lovely to be coming in here already with the major and everything else that's happened this year. So, I'm excited with where my game is. I felt like I showed some really good signs last week, and feel like I'm in a good spot, and had not that last week was a pure preparation week, but it definitely I feel like it put me in a good spot heading into here.
Okay, next question, back left, Swami.
Yeah.
Yep.
Roy, the pressure is off. The Slam is there. The Masters is there.
Is the pressure off?
I know there's always a pressure. Now playing at home. You also spoke about your schedule. Now you're kind of adding new parts of the world, like my part of the world, India. So any comments on that? And now does it mean that you will be seen more often in different parts of the world?
Yeah, I hope so. I've certainly voiced my views and opinions about, the top level of men's professional golf maybe needs to get a little more international in some ways. And yeah, I'm excited to go to India. I've never been before. So I'm excited just to take in a new place and a new culture, and play in different parts of the world. I'm going to Australia at the end of this year as well. And I've always been quite an international player, and I've enjoyed going to different places. And I just think at this stage in my career, basically 18 years into my professional career, to still be able to experience new things and play in new tournaments, that's something that means a lot to me.
Okay, Mark, at the front left there.
Hey, Rory. What are your most vivid recollections of the emotional week here in 19, and what do you take away from that maybe helps you this week?
Yeah, I think I remember not the ovation I got on the first tee on Thursday, and not being prepared for it, or not being, ready for how I was going to feel or what I was going to feel. And then the golf on Thursday feels like a bit of a blur. I try to forget that part of it, but I remember the run on Friday. I remember I was making a charge and making a run to try to make the cut, and I hit a 6-iron into the 14th second shot. And I remember the roar from the crowd. It was sort of getting a little dark, and it was overcast, and I for whatever reason, like that, the one thing I remember is that shot and that roar of the crowd, and walking up to that green and getting a standing ovation, and that was it was really special. I wish I had have been here for 2 more days to get a bit more of that and experience it, but hopefully I can change that this week.
We'll come to the middle here. Next question.
Rory, I think it was in Full Swing, you were talking about you and Shane's relationship, and you mentioned he can be kind of a good role model for you in some ways. I'm just wondering if there's any traits of his or characteristics that you envy or wish to embody in yourself.
Yeah, I mean, Shane and I have become, we've always been close, but I think we've become very close over the last sort of 5 or 6 years. I think once we both had kids, or at least once I had kids or had a daughter, and I see how Shane is with his daughters, and I just think when I say like a role model, I just think about like how he is off the course, how he is able to separate his his family life and his normal life from his golfing life. And look, it may be a little more, I'm in a little bit of a different position, so it may be a little more difficult for me, but it's definitely a place that I strive to be in, to be as comfortable getting away from it as he is in a way, and enjoying the fruits of your success and sharing that with your loved ones, and so that I think more so that, I mean, that's what, one of my New Year's resolutions was to have more fun, and I think Shane is very good at having fun, and I need more of that in my life.
Next question, back left there, number 1. Yep, you.
Hi, Rory. Just following on from trying to think positively about Portrush, what are your memories of breaking the course record as a 16-year-old? And speaking about that same kind of topic of being an artist instead of a scientist, how do you reflect on the golfer that you are now compared to the golfer that you were who broke the course record?
Yeah, I honestly, I remember a little bit of it. I don't remember a lot of it. I know I think I was 9 under for the last 10 holes. I had it going with the putter a little bit. It was certainly the first time I'd ever felt like in the zone, or that flow state, or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, I think as well, like, this golf course has changed. Like, I still, like, it's weird the way, the original 17th and 18th have been taken out of this golf course, and, the new 7th and 8th have been put in, but I still, Harry and I were talking about the course last week, and he's like, oh yeah, on the 12th hole. And I'm like, no, that's not, it's the 10th hole. And he's like, no, it's the 12th. So even now, I still remember this course the way it was, and not the way it is for the Open. And I've only played, I played the Irish Open in 2012, but it was still the original golf course. So I've really only played 2 competitive rounds on this new golf course. So it's a little bit different, but I think, yeah, look, when I shot that 61 when I was 16, I had a little bit of a clue of what I was doing, but I certainly didn't have as much of an understanding of the game or of my game as I do now. And I think, in that 20 years, technology's evolved. I don't even think TrackMans were a thing at that point. So, like, there's a lot of different things that have happened to the game of golf that probably push you in the direction of a scientist more than an artist. But as we all know, the Open Championship and links golf, you need to show quite a lot of artistry to do well here.
Okay, next question, David at the back.
Yeah, Rory, last group out yesterday in Scotland, out here at the crack of dawn this morning. Just wonder how much sleep you had, and whether it was always the intention to get the prep started really early.
Yeah, I got about 4 hours of sleep, so I'm looking forward to taking a nap after this. But yeah, I just, the last couple of majors at the PGA and the US Open, the practice rounds take so long. I feel like there's 50 people inside the ropes all the time, and I feel like I just can't get good work done. I had good preparation, and I didn't come up here ahead of time to try to get a couple of practice rounds in. So I just wanted to get out early, sort of beat the rush, beat the crowd, and do my work with not a lot of people around. So that was the reason that I did that today, and it worked out well. Obviously, we had that weather delay there, and it was nice to get 18 holes in early and feel like I got a productive day of work in.
Okay, at the front there, number 2.
David Bleski, Sport Nation. Rory, in 2006 at the Dubai Desert Classic, you were a 16-year-old amateur playing with Peter O'Malley and Robert Coles. I was also a 16-year-old, and I was also your scorer that day.
No way.
You told me that day that your 2 goals were to be the world #1 golfer and to complete the career Grand Slam. When you're an elite golfer, as you are, one of the best of the generation, and achieve your lifelong dream like that, what does the process of resetting your goals look like?
Yeah, I think I think everyone could see over the last couple of months how I struggled with that. I've done something that I've told everyone that I wanted to do, but then it's like I still feel like I have a lot more to give, and talk about the pressure being off, yes, but anyone that sits up here at this table, we're all competitors. We all want to do better. We all think we can, just get a little bit extra out of what we have, and but yeah, it's taken me, and it hasn't taken me that long. I mean, geez, it's been 10 weeks or whatever it is. It hasn't been that long, but I think just. And I probably haven't, I've alluded to this, but I probably just didn't give myself enough time to let it all sink in. But that's the nature of professional golf. They do a very good job of keeping you on the hamster wheel, and you feel like it's hard to get off at times. But yeah, it's been an amazing year, and the fact that I'm here, at Portrush, with the green jacket, having completed that lifelong dream, as you said. I want to do my best this week to enjoy everything that comes my way, and enjoy the reaction of the fans, and enjoy being in front of them and playing in front of them. But at the same time, I want to win this golf tournament, and I feel like I'm very capable of doing that.
Okay, next question, Bob, please.
Rory, you said the other day you hadn't played here since the last Open. Just wondering how you found it this morning, and also, do you get much opportunity to play your home course where you grew up these days?
So, yeah, I think the 2 things I noticed about this golf course today when I played is I have a real appreciation for how well bunkered it is off the tee. It's like, okay, well, I could hit a 2-iron off the tee, but that brings this bunker into play. But then if I hit driver, it'll bring this bunker. So you have to take on the shot. You have to say, okay, well, I'm going to commit to hitting this shot, and I'm just going to have to avoid. It's not like some courses that we go to in the open rota. You can just take the bunkers out of play. You can lay up short of them, or you can go beyond them. Where here, there's always one bunker or another bunker in play. So I think off the tee, it provides a very, very good test. And then I'm surprised when I come here how much movement there is on the greens. The greens are quite slopey here for a links golf course. You compare that to even Renaissance last week, where I had a lot of putts that were like right edge, left edge, sort of not a lot of putts that were really outside the hole that much. Where you get here, you're having to play 2 feet of break, or it's a little bit different than maybe what you face on some other links golf courses. So they're the 2 things that I sort of noticed today. And as for Hollywood, I haven't played Hollywood in, I'm going to say 15 years, maybe. Yeah.
Okay, next question, Doug, back left.
I wanted to go back to the first tee in 2019. You'd been a pro for 12 years, done some great things in the game. What exactly were you feeling? In what way were you not prepared for that feeling, and what have you learned about that going forward?
Yeah, I think just the I played a couple of Irish Opens, one here, one at Port Stewart, one at County Down. Like, I played maybe 3 times in Northern Ireland as a pro. And and like it's, but then you get to an Open, it's a major championship, everything that comes along with it. And I just think that feeling, the walk to the first tee and then that ovation, I was just a little surprised and a little taken aback and like, geez, these people really want me to win. So, yeah, I think that brought its own sort of pressure and more internally from myself and not really wanting to let people down. And, I guess it's just something I didn't mentally prepare for, that day or that week. But I learned pretty quickly that, one of my challenges, especially in a week like this, is controlling myself and controlling that battle. I talked about it, at the Masters on that last day. The battle on that last day wasn't with Augusta National, it wasn't with Bryson, it wasn't with Justin Rose. The battle that day was with myself, and and that's, I think whenever you get put in environments like that, that's basically what it is. It's you trying to overcome your mind and trying to give yourself that clarity to give yourself the best chance to put together a really good performance.
Okay, next question back left.
Hi Rory, welcome home. This has been billed as your homecoming since completing the Grand Slam. What have you made of the reception so far? I know it's early in the week, but you had big crowds out there. And also, how does it make you feel when you hear people, particularly from here, saying you're the greatest sportsman from here?
Yeah, we got to the hotel at 1 a.m. last night, so it's barely been 12 hours, but 13 hours, I guess now. Yeah, but it's been great. By the time I got to the back nine today, there was a nice crowd out there, and after the 18th, and seeing all the kids and signing autographs, and it's really, really nice, and I'm sure that'll just build as the week goes on. And then for the other thing, I'll let other people make that determination. Like I try to go about my business. I try to give the best of myself every time I'm out there, and it's amounted to some pretty nice things so far. And as I said at the start of this, I still feel like there's a lot left in there. So the story certainly isn't over.
Okay, we'll finish with the two questions we have. Joy, and then go back here.
Hey, Rory. Earlier in your career, one of our questions would be that at the beginning of the year, you said that you would write on your Emirates ticket the goals that you set for yourself. And I know apart from winning the DP World India Championship, how has your goals changed from after the Masters? How have you reset your goals?
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. The two big things left this year is this tournament and the Ryder Cup. Those are the two massive things that are left on the golfing calendar. And yeah, they're I think what I found as well is, after 2 weeks off and getting that excitement and that enthusiasm back, it's like, I sort of approached last week and this week as like a 14-day chunk of, getting some really good work in, especially last week, but then, doing your prep away from tournament golf, but then, okay, this is your time to lock in for 2 weeks and do everything that you need to do. And then reset again, and then try and build myself back up for the Ryder Cup. And I know I've got some events between here and the Ryder Cup, but obviously wanting to have my very best stuff when we go to New York. So that's, I think, after the Masters. Obviously I had the PGA and the US Open up there in terms of goals. I felt like the PGA was just maybe it was a bit soon, and I didn't know what was, I didn't know how I felt, and then US Open was okay. It was just I started slow, and then sort of it took me a while to get into the tournament a little bit, but finished with a decent last day. But as I said, it's been nice to get back over this side of the pond, change of scenery, reset a little bit. And I'm really excited for, obviously, this week, but I'm excited for the rest of the year with the Ryder Cup, India, Australia, and everything else that's to follow.
Okay, final question, please.
You mentioned, all the familiar faces, and you get asked questions about, coming home and whatnot. All the people who kind of feel like they have a piece of you here, how did you handle that in 19, and what's kind of your plan to handle it now? Do you totally isolate, or do you let yourself kind of be?
So I think in 19 I probably tried to isolate, and I think it's better. I think it's better for everyone if I embrace it. I think it's better for me because I can. It's nice to be able to accept adulation, even though I struggle with it at times. But it's also nice for the person that is seeing you for the first time in a few years, and so it just makes for a better interaction and not trying to hide away from it. So I think it's more of a embrace everything that's going to come my way this week, and not try to shy away from it or hide away from it, and I think that'll make for a better experience for everyone involved.
Rory?
All right.